If you do not have a steadfast and a continual prayer life, there is no power whatsoever. A lot of people think they're radical Christians because they wear t-shirts. A lot of people think they're radical Christians because they listen to the music. A lot of people think they're radical Christians because they go on mission trips. But you give me one man, you give me one woman who's willing to stand in the gap for a nation and cry out to God. One man, one woman who's willing to lay down his life for the sake of a nation, for the sake of souls, that they may be saved, to cry, to cling over the promises of God. And I will tell you that that man is a radical Christian. I'm going to turn your attention to verses 5 through 13. I'm not going to go over what is known as the Lord's Prayer, because that in itself can take a lot of sermons to deeply explain. So I just want to kind of touch on the story that he's laid out for us. In verse 5, it says, "And he said to them, which of you who has a friend will go to him at midnight and say to him, Friend, lend me 3 loaves. For a friend of mine has arrived on a journey and I have nothing to set before him." The first thing I want you to see is that the man who goes to his friend at midnight is a man who's desperately in need. Some may wonder why this man was in need. In the Jewish culture, especially during Jesus' time when he walked the earth, it was unthinkable for a host to not have something for a guest. And so you see this man in a desperate need. I want 3 loaves of bread. If any man comes to my house at midnight for 3 loaves of bread, I would hope that it was desperate. I would hope that he was desperate for something. Because nobody just wakes up in the middle of the night and goes to someone's house at midnight because they have a taste for bread. In verse 6 he says, "For a friend of mine has arrived on a journey, and I have nothing to set before him." Now I would think if this man knew his friend was going to be arriving, he would have prepared earlier for his arrival, therefore eliminating the journey at midnight to ask for bread. Perhaps the arrival of this friend was an unexpected arrival. And I want to show you how this can apply to you. My question is, do you ever have unexpected arrivals in your life? As a matter of fact, most of our trials, most of our hardships, most of our sufferings isn't something that we choose to go through. I would argue that they're unexpected. And they're unexpected because they're part of this life. But more importantly, it is a way that God teaches us to be dependent upon Him. And it's a way that God tests our faith, that we may grow in diligence and steadfastness and trust in Him. So what do you do when an unexpected arrival comes? We see what the friend did when there was an unexpected arrival. He went to the one who could meet his need, and he had no regards or no concerns that it was midnight. He had his heart fixed on me. He had his heart fixed on making sure that his need was met. No matter the time, no matter the cost. I have a need, and it must be met. What are your needs, and what are you willing to do? Are you willing to fall on your face and cry out to the Lord and wrestle with the Lord and say, Lord, I have a need, and it must be met. And it must be met because you promised me that you will meet all of my needs. And I'm crying out to you as your child, as your beloved son and daughter. I'm crying out to you because I have a need. And I will wrestle with you until that need is met. I will bother you until that need is met. I don't care about who's looking at me. I don't care about what's going on in my life. I don't care about the situation. I have a need,